right, I'm going to share. All right, you're seeing a white screen.
Yes,
So have either of you watched any of the videos that Don's put up on the Facebook site?
It's okay if you haven't,
I have not.
but please
I
do in the
haven't
future.
either.
Yeah. Honestly, there's some really good discussions. We did 2 weeks ago. Was it last week? I guess it was last week.
Also, think about this, Tom. We've had 5 episodes, 4 guests, and
Five guests.
for five
Five guests.
5 episodes. Oh well, 5 guests right now. Yes,
Yes.
and for 2 out of the first 5, Phyllis, did you say this was your first Zoom call?
Yes.
It
Oh,
was for
yeah.
my Uncle Bob Purdy. It was also his
Also.
first Zoom call. So yeah, I feel like we're yeah, breaking some frontiers here. Yeah,
I love it. Well, if you get a chance to watch them,
please do. Yeah, they're fun.
you will see a segment called On the Spot, where we're gonna put 10 questions up on the screen, and you could just choose one or more of them to provide your responses. Okay, and I think some of these questions might be really interesting for people who do watch these. So just take a minute, take a look at some of these questions, and see if any of them strike your fancy to
I can
respond.
hardly see them. You probably can't see them either, can you?
No, I can see him.
I bet Doug will.
Are you on a phone, not a
Some
computer?
of your favorite camp guest speakers.
Which story from your time at camp have you repeated most?
Save that one for the next book.
And where have you lived since camp?
Tom, scratch number 4 in the future. I want to bank that one for.
Name your favorite camp landmark.
Good questions, Tom.
Oh my goodness.
Just
I
one or
gotta pick
two.
one of them.
A couple.
Yeah.
Wait,
How has camp influenced your life?
sure.
Well, probably I would categorize my life as before camp and after camp. How's that?
All right.
Okay.
BC and PC.
Before camp was, growing up, meeting Jerry, getting married,
Mhm.
and doing our training at the little camp in the middle of nowhere, and then being called. Jerry and I both felt definitely that if we hadn't gone to that little camp, if we hadn't followed what God was telling us to do, he never would have led us to the bigger offer. He was looking to see if we were going to be faithful and do what he was asking of us.
Interesting.
And so it's more or less before camp and after camp.
Yeah.
Had something interesting on Sunday at church. The Winklers were at our church. They were visiting a former staff member who leads the music at our church, and I never met the Winklers because they were at camp after we were gone, and they were playing flute and piano, trumpet and piano with our service, and it's like, oh, so that's what it was like.
Well, so did you know when they came to your church that they had a camp connection?
Oh yeah, because I heard information about camp, and I knew that the Winklers were leading the music at camp for
Okay.
Bell.
Okay.
Yes, but I didn't know who they were, and I didn't really know who they were till I saw their name on the screen. And
But when you introduced yourself, did he have
Yes,
any
I did.
idea
I did.
who you were? And it's okay if they didn't. It's funny. I've been meaning to get to. I don't want to jump ahead too far, but Beth Markell shared with me that you and Jerry went back to camp. Was it 2022, a couple of years ago, just prior to Jerry's passing, and she just said that she saw you. It was the most overwhelmingly heartfelt thing to see you there, and she watched as there were some people that did recognize you after all that time, and plenty who didn't. And I can relate to that too, because when I went back this past year after 22 years, I went back to they graciously offered to take in the book in the Trading Post, and I drove in. It was a Saturday morning. during the regular Saturday give and take, people leaving, people coming in. I had a pass that they had given me, and I showed the pass, and then she said the lady at the gatehouse leaned in and she wanted to see my name tag too, and I showed it to her. She's like, "Oh, Purdy," and she's like, "Hey, that's the same name that's on that building there." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And she had no idea, and that's fine. It was 22 years, but Beth Markell said that you had some similar experiences when you were there. So if you could tell us about that visit that when you went back a couple years ago.
Chucky and Lynn Wong
Okay.
wrote us and invited us to come and stay with them for a weekend, and they said they were available on Labor Day weekends. So by then camp is folding up and going away. But it was a good time to visit. I'd forgotten the trip up is such a beautiful ride through the mountains, and we had a good time. And yes, there were people there, former staff, kids there for that weekend who came, and of course they knew Jerry. And I got to sit, they called people out of the audience to come and practice, and you could sing at the end, and I sang with them, and
Very cool.
it was just a lot of fun, brings back a lot of memories. And I was asked to come back this past summer. Ed Shute said he would come and pick me up and take me if I found a place to stay. We've been in contact with him at different times over the years since we left, and in fact, he's coming to see me again in 2 weeks. His sister lives nearby, and he said, "I'm going to come see you too." I said, "Okay."
Is that Amy Shute, or Amy? Is Ed's sister? Is it Amy? Is her name?
Yeah, her husband's a doctor, I believe, or something.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
Something like that. And so he's going to come visit.
Wonderful.
Going back now without Jerry is, it's going to be pretty big step, but I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I believe me, my parents lived only 5 miles away, and going back, after 22 years last, my dad paced the whole day long, just trying to
calm himself down.
Yeah, and so believe me, but I can assure you, Phyllis, that one of the things I was so pleased to learn, going back after these decades, was that there's a culture there, and the people, of course, the people that do remember you welcome you with open arms, but the people that don't know you still feel like when they realize that you had some past connection to camp, they value it, and they want to know more about it and what your history is, and just to know you're welcome. And I have no doubt that a combination between people that you would go back with, Chucky and Lin Wong and others, and the people that are there since, will make you feel welcome. I know that. So I hope you do it.
I think I just needed a little more time, kind of thing.
Certainly.
Yep.
Yeah, when the time is right. Yeah. Douglas, how about you? What have you been back, or what since the time that you left? Has there been any reconnection, or?
Yeah, we went in 2004, I'm pretty sure, which was the last time I was there. But it was my wife and I, we had 3 kids at the time. We have 4 total. And we have twin boys. They were only 3 years old at the time. And then our oldest daughter was probably about 18 months or so.
Twins again? What's in the water there in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's awesome.
And we went up with my mom and dad and my Deanna, who's the next oldest after me.
Okay.
So we spent a week up there during the
Yeah.
summer.
Wonderful.
Deanna was on staff.
I remember Deanna. Yes. Wow. It's all coming back to hear these names again. Yeah. Yeah.
All
It was
right.
weird to we went to Oak Mountain and rode a chairlift up to the top of the mountain to
All
look
right.
out over the lake. And yeah, I'm like, there was no chairlift when I was here before. So,
Oh, those cold T-bars.
yeah.
Right. So,
Let's move again. If you'd watched before, we do something called story time with Tom sometime. But tonight we're gonna do story time with Phyllis. So if possible, could you please read, there's a couple pages of this. It's just one of the sections of Don's book about Jerry, because I mean, I love how you said he didn't want to stand out. I mean, because that was far from it. And I mean, here's I don't know, Don, if you want to set it up with Nate Forrester's section of your book here.
sure. Yeah, Nate was, who's now an attorney in Florida for Governor DeSantis' office, doing high-profile cases. Very wow. But his most memorable years were at camp during preseason. He worked in the Woodlands dish room, I think, but preseason was what he really cherished for those few weeks or that month. And so yeah, you teed it up perfectly there, Tom. So
Can we get you to read this, Phyllis, if you could?
Want me to read?
yeah,
During my years working preseason, camp's legendary chief of maintenance, Jerry Byrd assigned the work groups. Nate Forrester recalls how this assignment process worked. Assignments were usually not announced beforehand by Jerry, who was a man of few words and possessed a carefully concealed mischievous streak.
Okay, I'm gonna make you pause there. I'm sorry, just for 1 second.
I'm making too many mistakes.
No,
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 you're
no.
not.
I love how Nate words this. Carefully concealed mischievous streak. I'm not gonna tell you what happened. There will be people watching this that understand there were some frogs that may have been mistreated.
He hated those frogs.
He did hate those frogs. Anyway, it's just other people will know what I'm talking about, but he was quiet but very mischievous, and you're going to see in what Nate wrote here. It's gold. I love it. I'm sorry. Please continue.
So I should start over again.
Oh,
Oh no,
You can start with instead.
yeah.
Instead, assignments were revealed after we had to take a perilous ride through camp with legs dangling off the back of a trailer attached to his black truck. That was Black Beauty, by the way.
Black Beauty.
Oh, beautiful.
Jerry drove with seeming determination to hit every bump in the road, such that keeping from getting bounced off the back of the trailer was a challenge in itself. Those of us hanging on for dear life had fun taking guesses as to what the day's task might turn out to be, as Jerry's truck wound its way through camp past various potential destination points.
I mean, I've ridden in that, and he got such joy out of making us like bounce in that trailer. He knew we were enjoying it, and he enjoyed just making us, fear for our lives in a sense. I love it.
Black Beauty.
Black Beauty. So good.
Upon arrival, Jerry would bark out the orders for the day, leave us with the necessary equipment to get the job done, and then leave. Then the real fun began.
There we go. It takes me right back. That's great.
Absolutely love that, the way he wrote that, and I mean, I feel like it captures the experience of preseason too, where you're going all throughout camp to do whatever, usually painting, and that ride was pretty epic.
Yeah.
So
But we knew we had breakfast and lunch and Steve Miller's. I didn't feel like we deserved food of that quality, but we worked hard. I mean, no doubt, we battled the bugs and everything. But man, to know that we had those 3 meals a day
oh
uh,
yeah.
was yeah, made it to map out the day, knowing okay, 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, we're going to be eating. Even it was just like a ham and cheese sandwich. It felt like a gourmet meal with some. It's just always so good.
Don, I was going to ask you to read this one here.
Oh, all
This
right.
another Jerry story. It's on page 79
Okay.
in your book. You have your book handy, I hope.
I do, but are you gonna put it up there or?
No, you're gonna get it out of your book. So page 79, you have the hardback, right? So it's probably it should be the same page.
I
So
never kind of matched them up to see if they were on the same page, but okay.
right in the middle, it starts with 1 year. You know the story here, right? Do you want to set up the
Oh, I
story?
got it. I got it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is Beth Markel's story. She was on the rec staff, and every year, just before the first week of camp, was always the basketball clinic with the pro players there, and they had to seal the floor. And one year it went very badly. It called Jerry to the rescue, who normally would not have been part of that process, but was called in. Is that what you want me to read, Tom?
Yeah, I mean, if you probably have to read from the middle of 79 to
All
the
right.
middle of
All right.
81.
You got it. Okay. Tell me when to stop. One year they used too much lacquer and or the humidity wouldn't allow it to dry properly. When Norm Sanju came in that evening, the night before the start of basketball clinic, he had one thing to say. This has to be dry by morning. Beth recalls it was a nightmare. Strangely, one end of the gym dried well, but the other would not dry at all. While mopping, big dust bunnies were dropping on us from the rafters. Ugh, we thought, who breathed? It was time to call in the varsity, so Jerry Byrd was summoned to the scene. Something was needed to accelerate the drying process. Big box fans were out of the question because they would suck in more sand from outside, spew it back onto the floor. Finally, Jerry and Beth had a light bulb moment. A runner was sent to Girls Park to proclaim, Hear ye, hearly, at this hour your hair dryers are requested at the Royal Gymnasium for special duty. As each hair dryer was delivered, Jerry hooked them up to every available extension cord. He drew electricity from gym bathrooms and nearby buildings, including the men's staff cabins, miniature golf shack, and even guest accommodations, the Dakotas. Resourceful indeed, but as is usual in these circumstances, a new problem arose as circuit breakers began blowing. Jerry found himself chasing a spaghetti factory of extension cords to their sources and clicking the breakers back on. Head basketball clinic Pete Caruso, who would normally be greeting and holding meetings with staff on the eve of camp, was called in by Norm to monitor the situation. When Pete asked Beth how he could help, she sighed and replied, only half kiddingly, you could grab a hairdryer. When Norm informed Dad of the problem, he paid a visit to the gym. After endorsing Jerry's unorthodox drying methods, he left them with, get her done, I know you will. It's safe to say that Dad was far more concerned than he let on. Can't imagine how many times, me ad living here, that Jerry bailed Dad out of the situation. Timing of the job was critically important, as the next day, Saturday, was both the camp's opening day and the start of basketball clinic. While some games, weather permitting, were played on outdoor courts, the main gym was command central for all instruction and drills. Naturally, every effort was made to prevent campers or staffers from being injured. However, it would be understandably problematic if Norm had to explain to the Dallas Mavericks organization and its fan base that one of its star players had undergone season-ending knee surgery because of an improperly sealed gym floor at his clinic. Interestingly, Beth knew Norm from Buffalo. I'll skip to the point where finally at about 2 a.m., Jerry determined that the floor was ready. The good Lord let it dry just in time, said Beth. In her third year in rec staff, Beth instructed her workers to get as much of the sand up as reasonably possible and varnish over it. Should I continue?
Nope, that's it. That's
Okay. Yeah,
think
just one of
that-
the things like when Jerry woke up that morning, no way he could have thought, I'll bet I'll be up till past 2 a.m. tonight sealing a gym floor in a way that I had to come up with in my head somehow. Yeah.
I don't remember it at all.
He probably didn't even tell you. Yeah, just another day at the office. Yeah.
but he was a problem solver for
Yes,
sure.
that was just one that, Beth told me, but there's probably so many dozens, hundreds even of similar stories that things he improvised to fix, and in a way that campers and staffers had no idea what kind of efforts, extraordinary efforts had to be put into making that happen.
Amazing.
Jerry always appreciated the quality of what did they call Chucky Wong was that person that rode around in the truck and took care of the little stuff.
Odd job.
Odd jobs, yes.
Yeah.
He appreciated those guys because it took a lot of pressure off of Jerry for all the little stuff.
Sure.
And
Sure.
I know a good one on Chucky, but I don't know if I should say it on air.
Well, we could go two different directions. You could say it, or you can you could write it to me, and I'll put it in the next book. So,
Well, but we even said something to Chucky about it, and he like Jerry, you don't remember small incidents, and he didn't remember it, but I remembered it, and the boys remembered it. They always, every once in a while, would pipe up about what Chucky did. Did I tell you?
Yeah, you better.
yeah,
tell me.
let's see. Yeah, how can I
set this up? You gotta.
Well,
Yeah, and it still could go in the book. Both. Well, here, and it'll go in there. Yeah.
Somebody in their room accommodation said that their bathroom sink was, the faucet was clogged up, and so to prevent Chucky from having to make a trip back out to his vehicle, he just grabbed the toothbrush. It was there. And he scrubbed it around, and dislodged whatever was stuck there, and rinsed it off really good and put it back and left.
Oh, that's so good.
He must have told Jerry.
Really good. Yeah, like somebody took a Jen and
I don't
the
know.
nurse the next day.
It might not be something you want to tell the guests, but we got the best chuckle out of it, and the kids every once in a while just bring it up because it's funny.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh, that's great. Yeah.
I don't know exactly which year it was, but Jerry found a stuffed toy. It was lost. I don't know. He found it somewhere in camp. It's a rabbit. And it rode in his truck with him everywhere he went. He stuck it in the mirror. And so this rabbit would be in the mirror. When we left camp, I didn't know it, but that rabbit left with him. And as long as we had two vehicles, that rabbit rode in his car. But then when we both retired, we just had one vehicle. And next thing I knew, the rabbit showed up. I'm riding around with the rabbit now.
Oh, that's fantastic. You should send us a picture of that.
And
another thing that a lot of kids would possibly remember, that he would drive through camp with the windows of his truck wound down, playing
William Tell Overture.
William Tell Overture. And at his funeral, that we played that.
Oh my goodness, did you? Oh,
That our pastor is a guy always with a chuckle, and he said, yes, that's a good thing. But that was Jerry,
charging
off to the races.
Yeah,
Get it done.
Black Beauty with the rabbit. Oh, that's great. What way to bring it home, Phyllis. That was wow. They couldn't have orchestrated it any better than that. We're gonna run out of time here, but
So great talking with both of you.
yeah,
This
yeah,
has been fantastic. Yeah.
it is. Doug, this is a bonus that
Yeah.
I definitely want to connect with you on the side here and yeah, a couple of questions for you, but it's been great to have you. Thank you for I know Phyllis's talk with us was pretty much contingent on you being able to help facilitate it in a technical way, not a legal way, but thank
He
you.
asked me all kind of questions. I have no answers. I don't know this stuff.
Here you are. Here we are.
Here